Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. The EQ Skills Clinic every single Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. I know we've got a bunch of new faces around here, so let me quickly introduce myself. Let me tell you what the EQ Skills Clinic is all about. And I absolutely want to welcome you here to the EQ Lab. So, my name's Dr. Shyamala. I spent close to 2 decades practicing as a psychotherapist, specializing as a registered couple and family therapist. While I no longer practice one-to-one as a psychotherapist any longer, I'm the very proud founder of the Kiru Psychotherapy Clinic. We have an amazing team of clinicians that deliver individual, couple, and family therapy across Canada. We are a virtual clinic. I'm also a podcast host, Confessions of an Ex-Therapist. Now, you probably understand why I named the podcast Confessions of an Ex-Therapist. I am a media expert for national television, and I'm the very, very proud founder of the Kiru Coaching Clinic, where we house and we deliver the EQ code. There's lots of EQ around here, so let me explain what's what. The EQ code is my private 6-month coaching program for high-powered women who are really ready to double down on their emotional intelligence so that they can craft the lives they desire. The EQ Lab is where you're at right now. This is our Facebook group. It's my free community where we deliver all kinds of free training and resources to really support you on your journey to really unpack, understand, but mostly integrate emotional intelligence as a set of skills that you carry with you throughout your life, in all your interactions, in your day-to-day, moment-to-moment, just as you move through life, really. That's what the EQ Lab is all about. And what you're joining today, right now, is the EQ Skills Clinic. So this is a weekly live teaching that I do at 10 a.m. every single Thursday. I'm here every week, and we rotate through different elements and different topics related to emotional intelligence. And my hope is that as you engage in these free trainings, as you engage in these free clinics, that you're able to take the skills that I teach you and integrate them in a deeper and deeper way. The more that you engage with this sort of material, the more that you actually put it into practice, the deeper you will be able to integrate emotional intelligence. And my hope for every woman that I work with is that we really begin to embody the skills so that we can become the woman who can achieve the desires of her heart. I know that's a mouthful, but I've been at this a long time. And so I've done a lot of my own work around integration. And so as I continue to teach inside of this community, you are also with me on my own journey of continuous growth and expansion, my own evolution as I learn more about what it really means to be the emotionally intelligent woman. And I do my very best to model that for you. So if you're here for the first time, would you let me know? Drop it into the comments. I know many, many, many of you catch the replay. So would you give me a hashtag replay so that I know that you are tracking with us every single week? It allows myself and my team to know which content is resonating for you, which content you want more of, so that we can continue to deliver really exceptional programming for you. Okay, so introduce yourself, drop an emoji, let me know if you're here live or if you are here for the replay. And let's dive into today's topic. I love this topic. This is a topic that I could probably talk about like endlessly. I could probably teach on this particular topic endlessly, although it's important to know and understand that the topic we're going to cover today really does exist within a broader framework. Okay, so anything that I teach you, any skill that I teach you, any strategy that I teach you, any topic that we cover in terms of emotional intelligence. Oh, Rachel, I'm so glad you're able to join live. Anything that I teach you, I want you you to always, always remember that these skills do not exist in a silo. They don't exist as individual verticals in your life. I want you to know and understand that every single skill I teach you exists within a broader framework. And the best way to really practice these skills and to integrate them and for them to become your new norm is to really take them as that. Take each skill as it exists within the broader picture of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is such a beautiful and critical set of skills. There's so much evidence and so much science behind emotional intelligence. We know that it is the strongest predictor of our success. And so when I came across this work and realized the impact that it had in my own life, as well as in the lives of my clients, it was, I very easily and naturally became deeply passionate about it. So today we are going to talk about a skill that lands within what I would consider our second pillar of success within the broader framework. If you've worked with me in any capacity, free or in a paid program, you know that I work on along three pillars of success. The first one is emotional mastery. The second one is communication skills. And the third one is relationship management skills. And so today we're going to be spending some time in that second pillar of success, which is communication skills. And we're going to talk about assertive communication. And I talk about assertive communication a lot. I talk about assertive communication so much because the more I do this work and the longer I do this work, the more I realize how little we often know and understand about assertive communication. I think there's a lot of misconceptions, if I could put it that way. I was going to say misinformation, but I actually think it's misconceptions. There are a lot of misconceptions around what assertive communication is. And I would say, particularly in the area of female leadership or feminine leadership, which is an area that I'm really interested in. This is an area where I don't think we have understood assertive communication very well. I think there's lots and lots of opportunities for us to grow in this particular area, okay? Assertive communication. So we're going to talk today about what does it really mean? Like, what does assertive communication actually mean? What is the impact of assertive communication in your life and in your relationships? And what does it not mean? I think that's really important too, is to understand what it isn't, because that's where a lot of the misconceptions are. The misconceptions often are around, I believe that if I communicate assertively, X, Y, and Z are going to happen. And that's not necessarily true. For me, assertive communication is really about developing our personalized power, our personal power. Our personalized power. And there's a vast difference between externalized power and personalized power. Externalized power and personalized power. These are two concepts that I have come to probably later in my own journey and later in my own work. And part of it was really understanding the connection between our subconscious mind and our communication styles. And so where most of us get stuck is we fall into and we get stuck in externalized power. Our power lies external to us, or we have allowed our power to lie external to us. We have put our power out there in other people, in events, in outcomes, in our day-to-day dealings. Our moment-to-moment world is where we've put our power. And I'm on a mission to help women move from a sense of externalized power to personalized power, power that is internal to you, that comes from a very, very deep place of intentionality, choice making, and really knowing how to use the skills that are going to allow you to up level in every area of your life. Okay, so that was my big intro. We haven't even gotten into the teaching yet. This is one of my favorite sayings. I haven't even started teaching yet. So let's get into some of the teaching around assertive communication. Let me give you a little bit of background, a little bit of context so that you understand the framework for this conversation. So we know that there is literally only one communication style that can predict better conversations, more confidence, and elevated relationships. Let's be really clear on that. Let's demystify this idea or this concept that there are, all different types styles of communication. And when I talk styles of communication, I'm talking within the realm of emotional intelligence. We know that there are 4 or 5 primary styles of communication. I will teach on some of the other ones at some point. But assertive communication, my friend, is the only communication style. It is the only one that can actually predict better conversations in your life. It is the single communication style that will allow you to build what I call authentic confidence, not the fake it till you make it confidence. Right? The authentic, deep work of confidence requires assertive communication and truly elevated relationships. So I'm not in the business of okay relationships. I'm not in the business, and I'm really not interested in the survival of relationships, right? What I'm really interested in and what I'm really passionate about, and what I, if I could say so myself, pretty good at supporting women with, is how to actually elevate our relationships so that our relationships match the success that we experience in other parts of our life. This is what I am so here for. This is what excites me. This is what I could just read about and practice and teach day in and day out. So if you're here and you are all about elevated relationships, more confidence, and better conversations, I want you to let me know. You can drop an emoji in the comment box for me and let me know if you are here for this conversation. Are you here for better conversations, more confidence, and elevated relationships? So assertive communication is one of the most important vehicles that will deliver these particular outcomes. Okay, assertive communication is one of the most powerful and most important vehicles that you can use in your own life, in your professional life, in your personal life, in parenting, in intimate relationships with your team. I mean, this is a style of communication that I practice day in and day out. And let me be clear, when I say I practice, it does not mean that I get it right. I don't. But assertive communication frameworks and the micro skills of assertive communication can also allow us to repair when we don't get it right. Okay? So that's the stage I want to set for today's conversation. So let's talk about what assertiveness does not mean. And if you're here and you're listening live, replay, on the podcast, wherever you are listening to this teaching, I need you to take out a pen and paper. I'm old school. I deeply believe in pen and paper. I've got a journal. I've got like 3 journals around me right now as we speak. So grab a pen, grab a paper, and I want you to take notes, because I want to start with teaching you what assertiveness does not mean. What is it not? It's really important to understand, because this is where the greatest misconceptions lie around utilizing communication to effectively improve our relationships. So assertiveness does not mean getting your own way. I love to pause for effect because this was the greatest shift in my own subconscious mind that I needed to make. The biggest shift I needed to make in my subconscious mind that allowed me to actually execute on, oh, sorry, just something funny happened from a tech perspective there. Okay, we will just carry on. The biggest shift, my friends, that I needed to make in order to actually execute the skills of emotional intelligence was actually understanding that assertiveness does not mean getting your own way. Getting your own way. If you're here with me inside of the Facebook group, what I would love to know is, was there a time, or did you believe, or do you believe that assertiveness is about getting what you want? It's about getting your own way. Let me know if that's a belief that you hold now or that you have held in the past. Okay? So assertiveness does not mean getting your own way. And it's really important for that to sink in and for you to believe that and know that on a very deep level, not just from a surface sort of cognitive perspective. And what I mean by that, not just on the level of your thoughts, that you know cognitively that it's not about getting your own way. You need to really take that in here. And it needs to become an embodied belief in order for you to really be able to communicate assertively with integrity. Okay. The second thing that assertiveness does not mean, it doesn't mean getting what you want, right? I think there's a real misconception where we think, well, I'm going to ask for what I want only because I think I'm going to get it. Or I'm going to ask for what I want, and that means the other person really should give it to me if I ask really nicely, right? And if I say it a certain way, right, I'm going to get what I want. That's what assertiveness means. And if I don't get what I want, then it wasn't a good conversation, or it wasn't an assertive conversation. And that's a really big misconception. And once we can begin to learn how to detach from the outcome, which we're going to talk about in a second, it allows us to actually ask with integrity. And the final thing that assertiveness does not mean, I've already alluded to it, is getting a particular outcome. Assertiveness has nothing to do with the outcome of the conversation and everything to do with how we choose to show up in that conversation. Okay? So really digest that for a moment. Okay. Assertiveness has nothing to do with the outcome of the conversation. And in fact, when we are focused on and tied to the outcome of any conversation, it shifts our energy negatively. It negatively shifts our energy. How? Because it dysregulates us emotionally. And there is a inseparable connection between our emotions and how we show up energetically. There's an inseparable connection between those two pieces, and that then leads into how we're communicating. So it's not about getting a particular outcome. So let's look at what assertiveness actually does mean. What does it mean? When we are assertive, what happens is we basically jump into the driver's seat of our choices. I talk about choice a lot. Choice and the concept of choice and having choice and exercising choice and choosing and deciding are very, very profound concepts for me, particularly when it comes to female leadership. Okay. Jumping into the driver's seat of your choices is part of what assertiveness actually means. It's part of what assertiveness actually delivers for you. And it's part of how I want you to really think about assertiveness. It's about you deciding that you are going to be in the driver's seat of your choices. And I'm going to contrast that with outcomes. It doesn't mean you're in the driver's seat of outcomes. It doesn't mean you're in the driver's seat of how other people respond. It does not mean that you get to decide what happens. It does mean, though, that you are always in the driver's seat. You are always in control of your choices, and you have a deep recognition for that concept. The next thing that assertiveness does mean is that it means taking radical responsibility for your needs. This is another really, really important one. It took me a while to get this one, right? I was not raised with this concept that I am radically responsible for my own needs. You are you're responsible for your own needs. And the first time I say that to some of the women I work with, that can feel a little unsettling. But what I want you to know is, as we continue to work with these concepts, taking radical responsibility for our needs is literally the most empowering position that you can take in your relationships. And actually, it really frees and opens the relationship up for greater levels of intimacy, honesty, and authenticity. Okay. I think this is really where the beauty lies in thriving, elevated relationships, is when we take radical responsibility for our needs. Okay. And the final piece that I want to share with you today, there's so much I could share with you about assertiveness, but the final piece that I want to share with you today is asking with integrity. For me, assertiveness, again, has nothing to do with the outcome, and everything to do with how we show up. How we show up, the emotions and the energy behind how we show up. And assertiveness for me, asking for what I need, expressing my thoughts, feelings, ideas, opinions, desires, right? Sharing openly, being transparent, being vulnerable. All of those are for me to practice my own sense of integrity, my own sense of integrity. And what does integrity actually mean? For me, what integrity means is that my thoughts are in line with my feelings and my desires, and my choices, my actions, my behaviors reflect all of that. There's an integrity, there's an alignment with who I am, how I think, and how I feel. Okay, that's what integrity is. So, assertiveness is really about asking with that level of alignment and that level of integrity. And my friends, when we can do that, I wish you could sort of feel what I'm feeling right now as I think about all of this. And as I continue to practice these concepts in my own life, it is so freeing. It is so freeing. It is so beautiful. Incorporating and integrating these skills, like, I cannot tell you what it has done for my own my marriage, for my work with my team, how I experience myself as a parent, how I experience myself as a leader and as a business owner. It's all about asking with integrity, not manipulation. Okay, it's about asking with integrity, not with manipulation. And there are lots and lots of subtle ways that we can get caught in manipulative behavior. Okay. So, on the flip side of all of this, assertiveness also recognizes that others are responsible for their own behavior, and it's about us not trying to control, right? It's really not about us predicting others' reactions or molding others' responses to match our needs. And this is what I mean about truly elevated relationships. One of the elements of them, one of the characteristics of truly elevated relationships, is that there's a lot of freedom. There's a lot of freedom, freedom to be you, freedom for the other person to be them. And so it's really important that assertiveness recognizes that we are not responsible for other people's actions, behaviors, and choices. So when we're assertive, we can express our thoughts, we can express our needs, we can express our preferences honestly without the expectation that others will automatically give in to us. Okay. We can express these things without the expectation that others are automatically going to give in to us. Okay. We can express respect for others' opinions without the need to adopt those opinions as our own. Okay. So, what we know about what I call inside my private program, I call it high performance relationships. What we know about high performance relationships is one of the characteristics is that the individuals within those relationships are highly differentiated. They are highly differentiated, meaning there's lots of room and space and freedom for you to be an individual and for the other person to be an individual. And I believe this should be true of our personal and professional relationships. That's what a high performance relationship looks like. I'm not saying it's the reality for most of us, but what I am saying is that that's what we want to be working towards. Okay. So why is assertiveness such a powerhouse success skill? I really believe this is, again, one of the most important skills you can learn, understand, and embody. Okay. Why is it such a powerhouse success skill? Well, there are three reasons. So, first, the more assertive we become, the less conflict, anxiety, and resentment we experience in relationships. So, stay with me because often when we begin practicing assertiveness, it can feel as though things are getting a little bit worse before they get better. Okay, the journey towards assertiveness and the journey towards elevating your relationships can be a little bit rocky in the beginning. It can feel like things are getting worse before they get better. Okay, so the more assertive we become, the less conflict, anxiety, and resentment we experience in relationships. The next thing is that the more assertive we become, the more we are able to increase our self confidence and reduce the need for approval. And this is a really, really big one. This is a really big one. The more assertive we become, the more we're able to increase our self confidence and reduce our need for approval. I want you to pay attention to that one. And finally, the more assertive we become, the more we increase our sense of personal agency over our own lives and reduce feelings of helplessness. Okay. The more we are able to increase our sense of personal agency over our own lives and reduce feelings of helplessness, feeling stuck, feeling lost, feeling trapped, feeling like we don't have any choices. Okay. So, personal agency is another really important concept and micro skill of assertive communication. So, I really want you to take this in. Okay. Take a moment, take this in. You may want to listen to this teaching again. But when we practice assertiveness, what we're really doing is we are practicing trusting ourselves. We practice trusting ourselves. And when we trust ourselves, we grow our confidence. Okay. Remember, I spoke with you just a moment ago about externalized power versus personalized power, right? Part of personalized power is being able to trust yourself. We're essentially saying to ourselves that we have our own back, that we have something valid to say, and it is worth expressing. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today for this particular teaching. I hope you really enjoyed it. I'm going to move in just a moment to let you know some of you have reached out to my team. Some of you have filled out application forms to get onto a call with me to decide and determine if working with me is the right next step. Okay. If you are interested in this content, if you're interested in this material, if this is landing, if this is resonating, if you know you want to take what you are learning here inside the EQ lab and really integrate it into who you are in a transformative way, then working with me inside of the EQ code, which is my private 6-month group coaching program might be the right next step for you. And so, if you're interested in that, Krista has dropped a link for you to book a call with me. When you book the call with me, you'll be asked to answer a few questions because entrance into the EQ code always happens with a short application form and then a video call with me just to make sure it's the right fit. And if it's not the right fit, I will let you know and make some other recommendations. All right, my friends, thank you so much for your time and your energy and your attention. I absolutely love the conversations that we are having here. And I can't wait to see you again next week. Have an amazing day.